Well, hello everyone. It's Leo. How y'all doing today? Pretty good, I hope. Hope you're all doing well. I am, as usual, I am out on the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere at an old graveyard to bring you guys a story. Now, this one here, we have a story today that came to our attention through one of our viewers in Texas. His name is Armando Rutherford. Hey Armando, how you doing today, buddy? You see, part of his family came from right here in Pike County, Kentucky on Ferguson Creek. It's a little tiny area just outside of Pikeville, Kentucky. He had asked us, and our lost lives, you know, we'll have people, you know, like moved away, their parents moved away in the, say, the 40s during the war, whatever. And they don't know where their grandparents, or don't know the story about what happened to them. They don't know where their grandparents' graves are, you know, their family history, all of this sort of thing. And, you know, you guys, you know, will contact us from time to time. And if it's something that is within our region, you know, something that we can go do, something we can go find, we'll go find this stuff for you. He had asked us, like I said, he had asked us to find one of his grandfathers. Well, guess what? We found him. We found the story, we found the sites, we found everything that we need. But unfortunately, we'll have to wait until winter to do the story when the graveyard isn't so overgrown and inaccessible. Right now, it's really bad. You'd never even find it, you know, to try to find it. You wouldn't be able to see through the brush and stuff, you know, this time of year. But anyway, it did lead us to another grandfather of his, which is our story today. Now, sadly, both the father and son were murdered. Strangely enough, both of them were murdered around the same age, just about 30 years apart. We weren't even sure, to be honest, if this story was going to happen at all, because the cemetery here is very unusual. It's complicated, to be honest. The cemetery is named the Wright Fork Cemetery, as well as the Ferguson Creek Cemetery and the Boone Cemetery, with no GPS or address to any of them. But thanks to some serious digging on our part and stumbling on a video by another YouTube channel called Exploring History Together, thought I'd give them a shout out. You know, they came up here and documented this graveyard a little bit, looked around, and if they hadn't done their story, we wouldn't have been able to find this graveyard. So quite frankly, you know, that's worthy of mention. You know, good job, guys. Good job. We had to, it came down, it was kind of tricky. We actually wound up having to compare some of the graves, and finally we began to realize that all of the graveyards were the same place. This one. Now, does he have a marker? That remains to be seen. I haven't looked yet. I just got here and came to the top and sat down so you could have a good view of the cemetery and the lay of the land. You know, kind of look around a little bit. It's really on a super steep hill. Ferguson Creek, you can see it goes right up. That's the road down there. And you've just got this one little tiny sliver of a ridgeline that sticks out, and a valley on that side, and a road over on that side. And it was just dumb luck that I pulled in. We were thinking at first it was on the other side. And when we found the video, we saw he had, in his video, the other history video that we saw, there was a toy in the background, you know, one of those like playground toys, you know, big red one. And I got on Google Earth and found the big red toy, and it's sitting right there, right across the street, directly in your line of sight, right across the street. Regardless, whether we find the grave or not, you know, whether we can find his grave, like I said, that remains to be seen. But regardless, we'll still hear the story and see his final resting place either way. We are definitely in the right cemetery. We are here. Now, Bud, or Buddy Rutherford Jr., was born in 1892 in Pike County, Kentucky. He was one of 6 children. Bud Jr. is shown on the census at 17 years old, living in Knox Creek, Kentucky, working for the railroad. Excuse me. So, flash forward a little bit, a few years. Bud marries a lady at some point. I can't find a marriage certificate for the wedding, but it still happened. At some point, Bud Jr. was a deputy sheriff, but we can't seem to find the paper trail on that either. But unfortunately, that's pretty common for people to do that a while in this area, it seems. It seems like most people had some sort of badge at some point in their lives. And to be honest, paper trails can go cold really easily after a few decades. You know, just one little slip of paper is all you're looking for, and all it takes is for, you know, a courthouse to burn, a fire, flood, you know, almost anything. You know, in our digital age, everything is mirrored on another server somewhere. Everything in your entire courthouse is mirrored on a server somewhere, and they have access to all of it. But these old records, you know, that, you know, for graves back in, you know, 100 years ago, you know, obviously this was all paper. This is all paper trail. So all it takes is for one little slip of paper to get lost. That's all it takes. And that's, you know, that's obviously, that's what's happened in this case. But anyhow, going forward to 1940, Bud are living here in Ferguson Creek. They have 8 children, and one of them being the second to youngest, named Paul Rutherford. Now, this is a peculiar thing that we'll get back to after I tell you the story. On January 10th, 1958, was a very, very cold Friday here in Ferguson Creek. It was late afternoon when Bud and Bessie got into an argument. At some point, Paul, who is listed on census as being, quote, crippled and paralyzed, shot Bud in the kitchen, defending his mother, so he says. He shot Bud in the back. The papers list Paul as a stepson. I guess, realistically, we won't ever really know the answer to that, although we did find out a little bit more information this morning as I was getting ready to leave. Like I said, we won't truly, you know, you really truly never know the particulars of an argument between two people, because there's 2 people involved. One's deceased, the other was murdered. So, you know, he said, she said, right? anyway, Bud is definitely here, and he did most certainly lay in that kitchen floor and die. Bud was laid to rest here at the cemetery that we are visiting, and Paul was sentenced on June 19th, 5 months after the shooting. He got 3 years in prison on a voluntary manslaughter charge. Life moved on for everyone. Well, except for Bud, of course. His life was ended and was silenced for eternity. Bessie Sarah Rutherford, she died in December of 1987. She was laid to rest in Ohio. 30 years later, still carrying Bud's name on her headstone forever. We may never know the whole true story, but at least we now know some of it. So let's go see here in a minute if we can find Bud's grave. We'll take a look around, and I just want to see if his grave is actually marked here. I noticed there are several that are unmarked, and there's a couple notable characters right here. The Story family right here, the Story children. We did a little bit of research on that as well, and we're gonna include that as well. Very interesting and very tragic story, which, you know, anytime you have children, you know, innocent children in a grave, then, you know, that's obviously going to be a pretty tragic story automatically. If you ever get up here, it's on Ferguson Creek. You turn at the bank, come up, you'll see a little housing project, and you just pull into the parking lot on the left, look straight up the hill, and you'll see it. You can't miss it. There's some old railroad tie stairs coming up to it. I didn't see those. I climbed up the hard way. But figures, don't it? But anyway, we're going to look around here in a second and show you guys some of these old graves. And hopefully, Armando, we'll find Bud. Alright, let's get to it. I'm going to go down to the bottom here in a second and start my way and work my way up. And I want to, like I said, I want to cover the Story children as well. They're right here. They're all together. Okay, now this is the bottom of the hill looking up the graveyard. The Story children are right there, and back behind those two trees back there, looking back down this way, is where I started the video. Don't come up the hill like I did. I climbed up the hard part. If you come over here, there are stairs. I didn't see those at first. I came up the hard way. I didn't see the stairs. But anyway, I thought I'd, you know, throw that in there to make sure that you would see the place. You know, there's a garage here, and there's little fire pits on this side over here, just a little valley. Looks like it goes back about maybe, I don't know, 50 yards, something like that. Just a little valley. Somebody's got a couple little, you know, picnic area and a couple little fireplaces out there to hang out. But anyway, we're going to start up the graveyard, and as you can see, this is a very, very interesting looking graveyard. It's really, really old, and it's a little bit overgrown. I mean, I've seen worse. It's accessible. As much trouble as we had finding, you know, this graveyard where Bud is, the other graveyard, believe it or not, was actually harder. It doesn't have a name. It has no name, and it's just beside the road. And we had to get on Google Earth and use satellite imagery to actually find this little bitty graveyard. So, you know. But this one we can get to. We can get to this one now, and we'll do the other one, like I said, after the first frost, when, you know, you can actually get back in there and find stuff. You know, you get back in these mountains this time of year, you can't see through the brush, and you're probably just going to get snake bit if you try. But anyway, I figured we'd go up through here. Now, some of these, I noticed some of them are marked unknowns. And that's all it says is unknown. And to me, that's a worst case scenario. You know, and I don't mean for the videos, I mean for the people. You know, you would like to think that you get a rock with a name on it. You know, you've done all these things, and I don't know. To me, it just seems like you should get a rock with your name on it. This one, first one, is handmade. This is a handmade concrete one. I can't read the name. I can read 1907 to it's either 47 or 77. I can't really tell for sure. You can tell there was something stuck on the stone. One of those little plaques, no doubt, like that one. Oh, wait. I see it. The name's completely gone off of it. No name, no writing at all. You can't see anything at all. But we'll put that right back where it was at. And here's one that's fallen over. Now there's several here that are just, as you can see, round rocks. There, 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 and several dips in the ground. Let me back out so I'm not stepping on any of them. Now you can see just dips in the ground where the graves are, but no markers. Just sitting out here in the middle of the woods, two of them. "1913. That's all it says. And no headstone. Just a footstone that says 1913 on it. And here's one. Completely worn. The same, you can see the paint peeling right off of it where it's been there so long. You can see there used to be numbers, looks like 09 right here, so presumably 1909. Now this is Harvey Webb. Oh, it's a child. April 25th, 1955. I guess I should have noticed the little booties. I didn't notice those. It's April 25th, 1955 to September 22nd, 1955. This one is one of those, like those over there, that this one's been written on. It says Roger Collins, is all it says. Nothing. And there's some more here on this little flat. It's Gracie Collins, and it's with little stick-on letters like you buy at Walmart on the stone. It'll work, won't it? It's the name. That's better. That is much better than a lot of people get. This is George Stanley, and I'm not sure what's going on with these other markers. There's one right there beside of his grave, and there's another one laying here that says Lily S. Branham, 1928 to 1954. So presumably that would probably be here. Oh, there's a stone. I didn't see that one. It's covered. There's a name on it. Lily. Yeah, this is Lily. That's her here. She's right here. This is UNK. I can't make it out. I can't make out what that one says. Oh, it's unknown. 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 Wow. How would you like that on your grave? Just unknown. 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 Another unknown. Unknown. Like someone's just added these later as a marker to let people know that someone is indeed there. But you can see there's dips going all the way up through here. There's graves all up through here. I see one metal marker. Unknown. Wow, look at that. This is Margaret Billiter, 1891 to 1936. So you can see there's a couple here that aren't marked, and then the big stone there. And we'll come over here to these. That was the unknown right there. And the field stone. This is Joseph R. Jacobs, 1978 to 1978. Another child. Unknown. Unknown graves. Now these are some Fergusons. Kind of wondering, one of Heather's buddies is a Ferguson, Gina, and she watches our channel, and this is her neck of the woods. These friends of yours, Gina, are these family? This is Vernon Ferguson, 1908 to 1927. He's got an epitaph on the back of his I want to read you guys in a second. Okay, now this is Vernon Ferguson too, but the dates are different. This would be senior, because this is November 2nd, 1888 to December 2nd, 1907. And John M. Ferguson, June 15th, 1844 to July 22nd, 1932. Just a stone that used to have some paint on it. Used to be painted white. 1879 to 1952. This is Melinda M., wife of A.M. Williams, born May 10th, 1839, and died February 4th, 1902, I think. Yes, this is the one with the epitaph. I have fought a good fight, and I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Hang on. And will go forth. Okay. There is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judgment, shall give me that day, and not to me only, but unto all them that also have love in his appearance. Now, how cool is that, to have that on your stone? And here's one. I'm guessing it's his. The stone matches. Nope, this one says mother. So, I don't know where she is. It's just a stone laying beside a tree. Unless she's here and he's there, maybe. Oh no, it's Melinda. Okay, I was thinking it said William. It's Melinda, so that is her footstone then. Because it says mother. No, you give up, not me. See the rock? Just a little thin rock standing up. This is... Get down here and get down on this log. K.O. Corpet. I'm not sure. Born January 26th, 1915, and died October 4th, 1915. It's another child. There's a lot of those here. $1895, and I can't see a death date. B-E-L. This is a child already. I can see it already. I see the little lamb. Okay. Now this sheds a little light on the other ones as well. The last name is legible on this one. Clyde. K-O-E-R-P-E-R. Now this is Story children here, the Story family. This is Virginia Story. I like that name. Such a cool name, isn't it? Virginia Story. May 12th, 1928 to October 22nd, 1961. Now look at this one. Has letters, little aluminum letters pressed into the concrete when this was, someone made this. Bob Story. Let me get up between these. And these are the ones that I was actually talking about right here. These are the Story children right here. This is Tandy W. Story, June 15th, 1935 to October 26th, 1935. Mary Story. Try to clean a little bit of that stuff off as I go. Mary Story, August 30th, 1934 to September 30th, 1934. And this was the older of the son. He was 18, I believe. Yeah, 18. Let's see what that is. First letter. I think it's an R. Yeah. R-E-M-E-R. Reamer? Rimmer? Rimmer Ray Story. 1910 to 1928. This was the older of the three. He was 18. Pansy Lois Kimberlin. Born 1935. And I'd have to dig to see the death date. I'm afraid to dig. It might tumble over on me, so I'm not going to do that. There's one that's fell over. It's laying there, and you can see the footstone to it right there. Several rocks. Any one of those, unknown, unmarked, any of those could have been Bud. Any one of them. There's a few more right up here, handmade stones that, if you remember the very first one I showed you, like that, the concrete had the little wooden plaque on it. There's two more of those up here, and you can tell somebody has made, someone's made some stones, presumably family. This one is, could be Mandy. Probably Mandy. This one up here, the little plate has fell off. You can see where it was glued on right there. And this one is completely gone. Just look at that, how wildernessy this looks. I mean, this place is, you know, I know I say this a lot, you know, but man, this place is really out there. There's some of them, you know, just really out in the woods. And in case y'all been wondering, that's why we haven't been doing so many of these, you know, the old graveyards and stuff this time of year, is because you can't get into them. You know, a couple more months, we'll get back into it and, you know, start getting into some of the older graveyards and stuff, you know, the old historic ones and things like that. But we found a bunch of stuff, didn't we? We found the graveyard. How about that? Now, we didn't pinpoint Bud's exact burial spot, but we did find a whole bunch of unmarked and unknown. And like I said, any one of them could be the grave that we're looking for. It's not that big of a graveyard. It just goes from right there to right there. It's, like I said, just a little sliver of a hillside that sticks out. And if you didn't know the graveyard was here and weren't looking for it, you're not going to find this place. There's no way. Even if, you know, during the winter, I highly doubt you could see more than maybe that one stone from the road. You know, it's in a really bad spot. But, you know, that's how graveyards were done, you know, back in the day. You saved all the level ground, you know, for houses and businesses and schools and things like that. And you used graveyards, you put all the graveyards on the hillsides. So that's why you guys see me all the time going up some hillside looking for a graveyard, is because most of them here are on hillsides. And, you know, pretty much anybody who's who grew up in a mountainous region, has a lot of mountains around, they're going to be pretty familiar with, with that concept. But it makes it a little bit harder to find the graves, but they sure are awful pretty out here though, ain't they? Middle of nowhere, which this one could use a little bit of grass cut, but I mean, it's still pretty, even with the dips and stuff, and you can tell, you know this is something bad. There's someone buried there. There's no marker. There in no way is this a good thing. But if you're going to be buried anyway, guys, if you're going to have to die and you're going to have to be buried, this is just as good a place as any. It's really pretty. It's probably better than your average spot, right? Nobody's gonna come up here and be bothering people, partying, doing drugs on this graveyard, stuff like that. You see that in some of the more public graveyards, vandalism and all sorts of things. That's one good thing about having a family cemetery out in the middle of nowhere. That's not one of the things your family needs to worry about. But anyway, it sure is pretty out today. Beautiful weather. I'm glad to see summer finally gone. Hopefully, guys, I was looking at the forecast, and I think the long range forecast said that the highest thing they had on there was like 80 degrees. So it looks like summer may be gone. But anyhow, Armando, brother, I hope we showed you something you didn't know. I'm sure I believe, if I'm on the same page here, I believe you knew some of this story, but not where the site was, where the graves were. That's my understanding anyway. I mean, I know you and Heather did most of while I was out doing doing videos and stuff, but that was my understanding anyway, that you knew some of this story, but not where the graves are, and not the other grave that we'll be doing in the winter. So look forward to it. We'll be doing that one just as soon as we get a first frost where you can actually go find this place. We've got it narrowed down to a really small area, but realistically speaking, guys, I mean, if I were to hide a grave 100 yards and point it, it's right there, it's 100 yards that way, your chances of finding it are almost zero out here. He's in an unmarked grave, but he's here. So anyway, guys, we'll talk to y'all a little bit later. I'm going to get out of here, and we'll see you guys later. Y'all have a really good day. Thank you for coming along, and we'll see you next time. Leo out.